Hi, and welcome back to another edition of the Power BI Monthly Digest. My name is Devin Knight.
My name is Manuel Quintana, and we've got quite the update this month.
Yes, we do.
You know, some are even touting it as being the largest to date.
Woo! Woo! You got me excited.
Everyone should be pumped. I mean, this is pretty much, it's kind of a combination for some things becoming GA, some items we've already covered, but they're now becoming generally available, but then some pretty awesome new features as well as some in preview.
Gotcha.
Collectively, ton of stuff.
It's a lot of good stuff. Okay. So let's jump right into it. So how we normally start these is we usually start with the data visualization stuff. We're going to do that again today. And the first little feature we're going to look at has to do with the matrix.
Yeah, very exciting stuff.
Yeah, talk me through it a little bit.
So it's all about ease and functionality, right? When we talk about Power BI, there's always these enhancements. We as report creators are creating these items so users know what features they have at their disposal to consume it.
Okay.
So within the matrix, we've got a little bit of a facelift here, right? We're making it easier for users to navigate through hierarchies. Everybody knows and loves hierarchies. We've been taking advantage of it for quite a while now.
Right.
Now, the default behavior there is you move and drill down into the next level of the hierarchy. You can choose to actually just go to the next level on its own or include the parent with it. Right? You have those two choices. Well, something that was missing for those that still stick and use those Power Pivot tables is the capability of saying, well, you know what? Instead of going and expanding the entire next level, I only want to expand this one selected item.
So it's kind of like Excel pivot table functionality.
Exactly. We had that very traditional, they actually had a plus and minus. Here, initially, we're going to see something, there's two options for this.
Okay.
So let me show you. I've got a matrix right here. We can see it's very traditional, just a geographical hierarchy here, nothing too fancy. And we can see our normal hierarchy buttons. But now, upon right-clicking a selection, we're going to have this expand option, which gives us a choice for expanding the selection. This is what's going to be new here. So just by right-clicking and choosing this, now I've only expanded North America. And it's nice. It does bold out the parent object, so we kind of keep that there. And then once again, if I want to expand just the United States, I can do the following. Notice there's entire and all as well, so you can kind of, it's kind of reiterating the features we're already used to.
Sure.
This is the new one. We can choose and be in control of this.
I like that. That's pretty nice. Okay.
But there's one thing you can probably think about this, right?
Yeah, it feels very similar to an Excel pivot table, but it's missing some interaction.
As we always say, you know, you want to design and create reports for the users that you know are going to consume it. That's
Wait, what are you trying to say, Manuel?
You know what I'm saying. So, some of the users you create your reports for, they may not know and understand that this feature is there for them. They might not know, oh, I need to right-click to do this. Right. So, of course, there's another way we can enhance this and mimic what we see in the pivot tables, and we can add an expand and collapse button to this.
Oh, nice. So it looks very similar to, like you said, Excel pivot tables, plus and minus there. Okay.
So I'll collapse this using this new method. What I'll do is with this visual selected, we can go into the format area. And then here under row headers, if we scroll a little bit, because there's so many fun, good options here, we're going to see the choice for plus / minus. Just by turning this on, right away, you see exactly what it's doing. And now we have that more tactile feel and look where I can choose what I want to expand, what I want to collapse.
Yeah.
You give those users, it's very explicit, very transparent. Hey, look, there's a feature here that you can play with.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, it's really neat, really neat.
That's I'm sure that's been requested for quite some time, so I'm happy to see that.
Oh yeah.
Cool. So what's next then?
So this is definitely, I mean, this first one was great. I think it's a great enhancement. This next one is definitely a game changer, right? This is going to affect the appearance that not only we as developers experience, but the way that users will consume this on the cloud service.
Okay.
This is all about filters.
Okay.
Specifically, we're talking about the scoped filter area. So when we're talking about on the right-hand side, within that pane there at the bottom where you have the report page, the visual, the report level, the page level, and the visual level, and of course, drill throughs, pardon me. There's a new presentation layer to this.
So they're changing how that appears. Okay, all right.
And now it should be noted this is a preview feature currently. So we'll go through, I'll show you exactly where we can locate this. And you actually have to enable this. So if you have a pre-existing report, such as this one, that was built in an older version of Power BI, it is not going to be on by default. Basically, you're going to have the old style. So you need to enable this option actually in the report settings.
Okay, so kind of similar to what we did a few months back with the headers.
Exactly, with the modern headers.
Gotcha.
So we'll go and we'll take advantage of this. It's better to kind of see this, but the idea, and this is going to actually be something that evolves over time. From what's been listed, this is actually something that's going to be taking complete control over it. We're actually going to be losing the old area where we used to set up these filters, and it's all going to be done in this new selection area, this new filter area. So we're going to see this change altering over time, right? Introduced, kind of a hybrid solution.
Yeah.
You're actually, there's 2 filter areas right now technically, and then it's going to basically come into this new one.
So the idea of the new one, though, to be more geared towards displaying to users. And
Absolutely.
Okay, all right.
Much easier. And there's another thing, which I'm going to keep secret. I'm going to let you see it. A fantastic enhancement that comes along with this.
I like it. All right, let's check it out.
So let's go first. Let's go ahead. Of course, we've already enabled this within Preview so that we don't have to restart Power BI. But just in case for you who may be watching this for the first time and you want to take advantage, we simply go to Options and Setting. We go to Options. And then from here, where we're going to see once the menu appears, there's going to be an area for Preview Features. And what we're interested in is the new filter experience.
And I think we're going to be showing also, if people happen to be following along, we're going to show the modeling view a little bit later as well. So yeah, you can go ahead and check both. Okay.
2 birds, 1 stone.
There you go.
So go ahead and check that, restart that if you're still following along with us. But that's just enabling the feature. As I mentioned, now we do have in the report settings that you can enable the updated filter pane.
Okay.
So this is a similar thing that we did with the use modern visual headers, right? So
yeah.
Old reports, it's going to be off. New reports, this will be on.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. All right.
So let's go ahead. Let's turn this on. And right away, you can see we have a new little hidden tab currently. And when we expand this, this is the experience.
Okay.
Now, just from a side note, we can actually go through and you can edit like text, color, size, all this stuff. So this is actually something that can be formatted.
Oh, so like the word filters up there, the icon, all that stuff can be kind of adjusted?
You can.
Right.
And if we look, what we're seeing here, if we scroll down to match this, is simply going to be the English product name. If we go down, we can see in the page level filter, we have placed a field here, and that's what's showcased. So in the current iteration, in this first version of this, effectively, this is what the consumer is going to see when you push this out to the cloud service. They're only going to see this little area. Before it was that little hidden black bar there, and they would expand it. This is what it's going to be. It's more presented, and you can choose and actually modify your filters within this. For us, for developers, though, it's important to note, if you need more items in here currently, you cannot do it in this new filter pane. You still have to use the old one. So if I wanted to add
new filters.
Yeah, okay, so if I wanted to add anything else within the page level, I add it here. It will present itself in the new one, but then we can interact with it. The goal is everything will be done in the new filter pane.
Eventually, it's going to be. Okay, gotcha.
Consumers, report, creators, everything.
So how would a consumer interact with this filter we have right now on the product name?
Oh, sure, absolutely. You see, we have couple options here. We can leave it open-ended in the sense of just standard where they can expand this, use the search bar. We kind of covered this previously where you have this little search context. You can select and choose and it will affect the visuals in play. Also, it should be noted though, if we go here and look at page level filters, we have this option where you can hide the filter completely. So it actually does not get seen. It is on this right-hand side. So we basically applied a filter that users are not going to be able to manipulate.
Okay.
There's definitely a use case for this, but there's something I'm going to show momentarily where this can be a little bit of a negative impact.
Okay, all right.
So I'll put it back to show so we can see this, but we can also lock it. So users will see the visual, but they won't be able to adjust it.
Oh, I can see some use cases for that as well. Yeah,
absolutely. I say this is going to be the more standard approach. Leave it be visible so users can see it because that little secret feature I was mentioning.
Yeah.
Look at the visual. We got a new icon here. It's a filter icon. This actually displays. So let's just go in here and add something in here. We're just going to say that this guy. And if I hover over, it's telling me which slicers and what filters are affecting this.
Very nice. I like that.
So on these pages, you know, a lot of people are taking advantage of bookmark digital storytelling where they have filters and then maybe they hide the filters. And you don't want to have to go back to see what did I choose, what did I select. Every visual now will indicate exactly what is affecting and what is filtering it here.
I like that a lot.
A fantastic addition. And this is where I was mentioning, if we were to actually have hidden this, just like that, it is filtered, but we can't see it here. So when it says hide, it's hiding it all the way across.
So that could be potentially a bad thing if your users don't realize that there's a bigger filter being applied there, or maybe you don't want them to be. There may be use cases for both, where you shouldn't show it or you should.
I would definitely say for the hide show, it's going to be very specific.
Yeah.
Because if you're filtering something and people are unaware, there could be a miscommunication of what this data is supposed to be. So definitely something to approach. We've got options though. Everybody loves when we have options to choose from, but the all-around enhancements to the filtering and how they're displayed, just thumbs up across the board.
I like
this is great.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
So. And definitely remember, preview, so things are definitely going to be moving along and changing for this over the next couple releases. Not really certain on the full timeline on when this is going to occur. Keep an eye on this. So we could see even further enhancements to this.
I like that. Well, the next thing we have then leads into a lot of improvements that Microsoft has been making lately around accessibility features. And features to be able to make it easier. We saw some of this last week as well with some hotkeys to make things easier. What are some of the new things that are coming out with accessibility, making things easier for sometimes with those with disabilities or just those that like hotkeys and things like that?
We did see like the high contrast mode. We covered a couple of videos ago, a couple months ago on those releases, but they have one of the biggest things is definitely going to be the access for the screen reader support.
Okay.
So that's a big element. A lot of pieces of the report side, Q&A, a lot of pieces of the modeling side now have that screen reader support access to it.
Oh, great.
And then accessibility also for keyboard shortcuts and like maneuverability through those options using keyboard shortcuts.
Oh, that's great.
So it really extends, you know, all the fantastic features that we know and use to a much broader group of individuals now that can leverage it all.
Yeah, that's really great. I like that. That's great.
So this has been, as you said, a major investment for them, and we've seen a lot of enhancements over the last couple.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
We're great. It's happy to see that.
Then the next thing, we're going to stick with data visualizations, and we're going to start looking at how you can actually modify things like color saturation on some of your visuals. So the example that we've been looking at so far actually has a good visual for this. We have a column chart sitting out there.
Yeah.
How could we, maybe walk us through how we can use this new feature on our column chart?
This is actually a reskinning of an old favorite, I guess we could say.
All right.
You know, we all love and know conditional formatting.
Yeah.
And we've actually had some recent amendments to that, right? The ability to conditionally format categorical values off of a metric, off of a measure, right? And that was great. Now, any visual that has the option for color saturation, you can actually go in there and you can hit the advanced options and you can do conditional formatting for the color saturation.
Oh, that's really cool.
So bars, columns, pies, all those options that has that choice, you can do it. Everything, once you find this option, so we'll go ahead and we'll look and see where this is located, but once you're there, it's the conditional formatting we all know and we love.
Oh, great. Yeah, let's take a look.
So let's go here. As we mentioned, we've got this. I'm going to go ahead and minimize the filters option that we were just looking at. And by selecting our column chart here, I'm going to go ahead. Let me kind of give us some more breathing room here too. We're going to go ahead and in the formatting area, when we go to data colors, this is where this new section is located, we're going to see advanced controls. As soon as I select this, we're here.
Oh, that has definitely not been here before. That's cool.
Absolutely. And we've got the traditional 3 different color formatting options that, you know, as I mentioned, we have the new field value. That was like the newer one. And rules and color scale, that's always been there. But now we just choose, you know, do we want diverging? Do we not? Just kind of indicate, turn these things on, hit OK. And now.
Oh, look at that. That's great.
So very simple addition, but something that makes complete sense, you know, moving away from just a table and the matrix. Now all these charts, bars, all these great visuals can take advantage of this right here, which is fantastic.
That's really cool. Very simple to do too. Very simple to add, but a nice bonus there that you could, to do something like that previously, you would have had to write some pretty nasty DAX to be able to do that.
I got to go crazy with the calculated measures. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, I think the next one that we have then is also an amendment or an addition to a feature that we've showed in a previous digest, which has to do with the Q&A Explorer. So several months ago, we introduced the Q&A Explorer, highlighted that, but they've made some really additions to the Q&A Explorer and Q&A in general on how you can be able to ask questions of your data and then have additional questions or additional relative questions or relevant questions that you want to dig deeper into. So
the idea here is the capability of, instead of trying to come up with a super, you know, a lot of times you start Q&A, you get your first kind of like statement as you work through it, and then maybe you think, oh, I want to do it by this type, or the idea is here we can build upon an initial question.
Okay.
So we can go ahead, ask a question, get what we're looking for, effectively save that, and then add more on top of it.
I gotcha.
So there are some pre-programmed kind of, you know, expressions to use here, some terminology that's kind of, I guess you would call it kind of reserved keywords to kind of take note of. But the idea is we can start with something, build upon that, change it. We can swap out filters. We can change out values. There's quite a bit you can do here. So you're effectively doing a building block so you can get to, you know, if you want to get to a more complex example, which could be tricky. Q&A is fantastic, but sometimes you want to kind of see where you're at and say, you know what, I need to see it this way instead, actually. That's exactly what this is going to do for us.
I like it.
So let's go ahead. We've got our little Q&A Explorer here on the bottom left, so I'm going to go ahead and access this.
Real briefly, in case someone has not, maybe they didn't watch our previous video, how did we get that Q&A Explorer? Maybe show it briefly.
So if we go right here, if we notice there is this option, we can go Q&A. Right here under buttons, we just can kind of select that. It's effectively just a visual. We can expand this. We can stretch it. We can do formatting on it too, titles, all of those likes. You can do that option. This is a little different though, because if you double click anywhere in the background, you get this option, which is Q&A to create a visual. This feature isn't available here.
Okay,
so
the
it's
feature we're
important to know
showing is not part of it.
it's in the Explorer, just like you mentioned. As of right now, right, this could extend, but as of right now, you won't see the ask an additional question option here. We'll see it in the Explorer.
Gotcha.
So let me go ahead and I'll close out of that one. We'll enter into the Explorer itself, and already you can see we have the term ask a related question. Now this, as I've seen, it potentially could be changing. We've seen some different options within the preview here that there's been some
naming convention changes.
Changes, yeah. So for us though, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna start this. We've got a simple model here. I'm just gonna do product, and we want to make sure I get my English product name here, and I'm just gonna break it down by a specific country to start with, right? So we're just gonna do products by France. Let's make sure we got that set here.
Oh, looks like it's got your there you go.
It shows the table name there. Just a simple thing. We add some synonyms, so same name column, same name table. It can make it funky, but as long as you're paying attention, easy to do. But what we've got here is the list of our products that are being sold where the sales territory is France.
Cool.
Very simple, very straightforward. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hit this ask related question, which effectively is going to store this. It's there. You can see it's available for me to reference. So now we can build upon this and say, okay, I've got the sales specific to France. Well, let's break it down and look at the sales by product.
Or by those products, right?
Oh, that's right. Sales by those products. Because we want to look at the specific ones from our saved query here. Let's make sure. And we have this breakdown. So we see this, right? We've got this product number. We've got a sales amount. So far, so good.
And you can see there that it's still storing the country of France. So even though you didn't type it in this question, because you said to ask a related question, it's still held onto the previous query and is passing that into this. It's almost like a subquery in T-SQL.
Yeah, pretty much. And the reference there, as you write, was saying those products, right? There's definitely some key terms here that you can switch it. Like in this next example, when I save this one and I say, hey, we've got sales by those products, which right now is France. What if I say show Germany? I got to spell it right, though. That's the trick here. Instead.
Okay.
And I know it's the same bar chart, it's a little different, but the value is different. The other one being 136,000, this one 163. But now I've effectively swapped out the filter, and we can see it in the name where the sales territories are in Germany.
And it looks like, too, you can actually scroll down on the farthest right scroll bar, and you can actually see some of the previous queries that you asked, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. If we go down here, we can see all the previous items we built upon.
Very cool.
Yes, absolutely. And they're all, tooltip. You can go in there and kind of look at what we had. But this is how we can kind of stage and stagger and build upon one statement to another.
Very cool. I like that. That's a really neat addition to the Q&A Explorer. I like it quite a bit.
And all of this, of course, we could have at each point actually saved this as actual Q&A questions.
Yeah.
So we could have actually built this out and saved them so users could see it at different levels if we wanted to. All that same functionality exists. It just makes it easier to write this out when you need to go a little bit further with what you're asking of your data.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. All right, so I think now we're going to transition a little bit out of talking about the data visualization side of things, and we're going to start looking at some pretty big changes on the data modeling side. You haven't seen a whole lot of changes on things like the relationship view in some time.
It's been a long time.
It's been a very long time, but now you're actually going to see some changes there and some things that maybe in the past were there, like multi-selecting, we'll get to in here that have come back, right?
Absolutely. So those of Key and I probably already kind of saw that. We've got a new button there on the left-hand side.
Yeah.
This was that additional option that we mentioned, and we wanted you to check for the preview features. Yeah. It was that modeling option.
Yeah, you're right. This is still in preview.
Yep. And when we do that, it adds in this very new icon we can see on the left-hand side. So it's just labeled relationships, so it's the same, and this is in preview.
Yeah.
So we could see, once again, there could be changes to this, but as it currently stands, we've got some really nice enhancements when we go into this.
Right.
So if I select this right off the bat, it's just going to look a little bit different because we've got one brand new pane on the right-hand side. And second, where are my report pages?
Or what? Yeah, or why do you have, why is the report pages down there? That's interesting.
Yeah.
What is that? Why are the reports on the relationship view, Manuel?
So what we have going on here is actually an option where we can create different types of diagrams of our tables. You can actually, instead of just having the tables we brought in and the relationships, which is the standard, what we're used to within the relationship, if I have a very complex model here, I can say, you know what, I need to create a model around these various objects and the related tables to that one table to simplify the view.
So I've worked with some customers that have 50, 60, 70 tables that are in their relationship view. So the idea here is if I have different subsets of that data model that I want to highlight, I can have different views, it sounds like you're saying.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
The way we do it, just like actually how we would create a new report page. That's why this bottom section has changed. This is going to be our list of various different layouts or diagrams we create. So when I go ahead down here and I hit this little plus sign, we have a blank layout. And then I'm left to choose what I would like to bring in. So if we wanted to, we could just drag in a table. There are some different options here, but when I hit this little ellipsis, one thing that is pretty familiar with anyone who's worked with analysis services or other tools, where I just have to go ahead and hit add related tables, and it's going to add in the items that are related to that.
Interesting.
So we can see right there, and we have it. And this is obviously just a small portion of what we had previously.
Right.
We can go ahead and relabel this, and now we have this one diagram.
Very cool. Yeah, so it's nice that it's so this is, like you said, for those of you that worked with analysis services, especially multidimensional, this is like the old data source views and analysis services multidimensional that you can now kind of extend here into Power BI. And you can, of course, name the layouts however you want.
Absolutely.
What else can we do from here?
There's some additional items. Of course, there's this whole properties area. I'll talk in a second, but something that's really important that everybody loves. We did have the capability. It should be noted also, if we're hitting this ellipsis, there used to be that another icon that basically brought that table into focus mode.
Oh, yeah, to expand it. Yeah.
Well, we don't need to worry about that anymore. You can actually kind of zoom in, zoom out, and kind of do all this really easily so you can focus. But before...
How'd you do that, by the way?
Just holding the control key and the mouse wheel. Before, we've had multi-select where you could click within the same table, but one of the very common housekeeping items that we do when we talk about cleaning up the data model is hiding key columns a lot of times, right? Things that we know we're not going to have in the report view, and you could never multi-select across tables.
Yeah, that was really frustrating because you could do it in prior versions of Power BI and you could do it in Excel, but not here.
Yeah, so if I saw this currency customer key, I just hold my control and I find my relative key. So customer alternate key, you just go in here, and once we have that selected, we have this little toggle option here on the right-hand side of the properties. Is it hidden? Just by flipping this on, now these items are hidden. You see the traditional grayed out icon. So this is now hidden in the report view. Nice, quick, easy. Just pick everything all at once, hide it.
So Manuel, as you showed that, I noticed something kind of interesting in that same properties menu. What is display folders that's right above is hidden?
Yeah, absolutely.
That sounds pretty new.
So what we can do is within a table itself, we can actually create a display folder. So if we just select, really anything, right? If we were to focus on like our sales territory country, right? We can just say something like location. I could put this in here. And what's going to happen, the way this presents itself is in the table on the right-hand side. So if we kind of navigate here to the sales territory, let me kind of shrink this up. And we're going to find you. We're going to see there's a new object in here.
Oh, very cool.
And only that is in here. So if we have, you could probably apply this into, we have our internet sales table.
Yeah.
We could probably break down multiple areas. We could maybe apply, if we decided our style is to have measures be in all separate home tables.
Yeah.
But maybe we put the measures in their own folders within those tables.
Right.
A little bit of sense of organization here that we can add to the mix.
That's a long-awaited feature too. For those, of course, those of you that have worked with analysis services and you've used kind of direct query off it, you've probably seen some of this capability brought in or ported into Power BI. But it's great to see you can actually, once it's at a preview, you'll be able to create these display folders on your own as well. And it looks like there's a lot of other formatting features you can do in there as well.
The basically the modeling ribbon that we know and love that's in the report view and the data view, where you can change the formatting, you can change the data types. You actually have default summarization, default categorization, all these various items all right here for you.
Really cool. I like it. I like it. All right, so I think the last couple things here we're going to talk about, we're not necessarily going to have anything to show, but we're going to talk about a few new additions of things that either are going to be released, generally available, or maybe there's things that are less interesting to see, but more interesting just to know that they're available. So one of those things is that the composite models. So we talked about composite models a few months ago, I should say.
Huge.
A huge feature where now you can combine both direct query and imported data models together. A much awaited feature as well. That is going to be generally available this month, so you'll have the ability to do that and publish those to the Power BI service as well. And then we have some new DAX functions as well, right?
We do. We've had one other that introduced a new DAX expression. Here we have four new ones. And they all really relate to hierarchical data.
Okay.
So looking at elements like evaluating percentage of the child value as compared to its parents, There's quite a few.
Yeah.
So there's other ones like the ones like non-visual. There's drill down filter. There's a roll up. Add is total. It sound a little different. They're a little funky in their naming convention, but they're all fully invested. They're all fully now in that DAX IntelliSense. Yeah. So you can go ahead, start typing that in. It gives you the syntax, gives you the description, but it is all around hierarchical data. Yeah,
and some of it was specifically around, you have like a parent-child hierarchy where you have like a self-referencing table and you need to be able to call that table back again. So there's some of those were specifically for that purpose. And then the last big one that again has been you would think a small thing, but a major feature request is copying and pasting between different pbix files. Yep. So I've created 2 different solutions. Go ahead and talk me through it. Yeah.
It's just, your Control-C, Control-V. Right now, we've done that quite a few times within report pages.
Right.
Within a specific Power BI report, so a pbix file. Now you can do the very same thing. You can pick a couple visuals, that you want to Control-Select to highlight them. Control-C, go to the other report file. Control-V, it is there. Now, granted, it's taking, of course, the field names that are mapped to that visual. Right. So that needs to coincide. It needs to be mimicked in the new report, or you're going to get the old X, the visual not display.
Makes sense.
You can fix it at that point, but depending on the nature of the visual, you probably would have created it from scratch if it's not going to be smooth.
Right, yeah.
Very situational. If you have a bunch of reports off the same kind of data model, and you're managing a bunch of different reports, and you got something great over here, maybe you did some awesome conditional formatting, off the bar charts, copy and paste it over. Said and done.
I like it. I like it. Very simple. So some really cool things. Hopefully you guys saw the big impact of the update from the November update here. A lot of really fun stuff. And we're excited about it as well. We want to know what you are most excited about. So go ahead and post below and let us know what interests you most. What are some of the things that got you most excited about this release? And of course, don't forget to subscribe. And what else? Not just subscribe, but
hit that little bell icon so you can get our notifications every time we come out with something.
That's right. You want to make sure you're notified. We got a lot of great stuff coming out between our monthly digest and other videos. Hope you guys enjoyed this month's update. We look forward to seeing you next month. Hopefully some great things coming up in December as well. We look forward to showing it to you then.
Absolutely. Everybody enjoy the holiday seasons. We'll see you in the next one.
Take care.